Dragon Emperor Sun Chapter 691-700. Chapter 691. If Qin Xiaolin blew himself up, they could be sure that David would not be able to resist at all. However, a great master in his early 20s actually killed Wu Zong. This is probably the most exciting battle in the martial arts world. No one can imagine how David killed Qin Xiaolin, and how he made Qin Xiaolin stop self-destructing. Big brother. Qin Xiaotian looked at Qin Xiaolin, who had become a mummified corpse, and threw himself on it, and the servants of the Qin family also stepped forward. David, I'm going to kill you. Qin Xiaotian stared at David with angry eyes, and rushed towards David like a madman. David didn't move, but Su Chongsheng on the side slapped Qin Xiaotian out. Didn't you hear what I said? Su Chongsheng looked at Qin Xiaotian coldly. If you guys want to die, I don't mind shooting. Su Changshen's words calmed Qin Xiaotian, who had lost his mind. He ordered someone to lift Qin Xiaolin's body. Qin Xiaotian glared at David and Su Chongsheng. This account, my Qin family has written down. I must avenge this revenge, and your medicine god Valley, my Qin family and you do not share. Dai Tian. After Qin Xiaotian finished speaking, he led the people away, while Su Chongsheng didn't take Qin Xiaoshan's threat to heart at all. David, are you all right? At this time, Sonia asked David with concern. David shook his head. It's okay, I just feel a little tired. Then let me help you to rest quickly. When Sonia heard that David was tired, she hurriedly helped David to leave. Brother Chen, after this battle, I am afraid that your reputation will spread in the martial arts world, but you can rest assured that my medicine god Valley will always maintain the rules of the martial arts world and will not let them mess up. If Brother Chen has time, I hope to have a talk in my medicine god Valley, and we can also learn about alchemy. Su Chongsheng followed David very politely. David nodded. Okay, I will go to Elder Su for advice when I have time. Su Chongsheng has a good attitude and has been helping himself, so David's attitude towards Su Chongsheng has also changed a lot. Then I'll be waiting for Brother Chen in Medicine God Valley. After Su Chongsheng finished speaking, he left with Yu Dong. David also returned to the Pinerist villa surrounded by the crowd. Just after the battle between David and Qin Xiaolin was over, the southwest Miao village was thousands of miles away. Miao Wang is watching this fight through the video. In front of King Miao, standing is the 5 chiefs of Miao village. King Miao, although David doesn't seem to be strong, his body is very strong, almost invulnerable to all poisons. My puppet worm was destroyed by him. Dolly said softly. However, King Miao didn't speak, but stared at David on the screen, with greed in his eyes. If you can make this body into a corpse king, wouldn't it be invincible in the world? King Miao's eyes were fiery, and he said excitedly. When the 5 heads heard it, they all looked at each other, and finally lowered their heads, but no one answered. David had just killed Qin Xiaolin, the Wu Zong. King Miao was still thinking about David's body. It must be known that King Miao's strength is only the peak of the great master, and he has not been able to step into Wuzong after many years of practice. Fortunately, Miao village is good at using poison, so its strength is low and can be replaced by poison. The 5 major heads didn't dare to provoke David. They wanted to live a few more years, so they all kept their heads down and didn't speak. King Miao didn't get angry when he saw that no one said anything at Wulai head. Instead, he grabbed a flying insect from a clay pot and threw it out. The flying insect flew away quickly, and after a while, a girl with a graceful figure covered in black walked in. Father, you are looking for me. The girl knelt in front of King Miao and asked. Chapter 692. Xiaolan, go and bring this person to foster father, but don't kill him, I want to live. King Miao showed the image of Ye Chen on the phone to the girl. The girl just glanced at it and nodded. Xiaolan got it. After speaking, the girl got up and walked out. Don't be idle, the 5 of you, go and prepare the poison of the Corpse King immediately, and soon our Miao village will be able to break through the southwest. King Miao's eyes shone brightly. King Miao, David is invulnerable to all poisons. Wouldn't it be very dangerous for you to ask Xiaolan to arrest David? Dolly asked a little puzzled. You forgot that Xiaolan is naturally charming, her charm is not poisonous, as long as it is a man, there is nothing that can be resisted. King Miao laughed. On the road from Horindal to Kyoto, Su Chongsheng was sitting in the back seat of a car, his eyes slightly closed, while that Yu Dong was driving the car, looking at Su Chongsheng in the back seat from time to time through the rear view mirror. Yu Dong, if you have something to say, just say it. Although Su Chongsheng didn't open his eyes, he had long noticed that Yu Dong was peeking at him. Elder, although David was able to kill Qin Xiaolan, you don't have to be so polite to him, right? Isn't this embarrassing for us in Yaishin Valley in front of so many people in the martial arts world? Yu Dong asked in confusion. Hearing Yu Dong's words, Su Chongsheng opened his eyes and said with a smile on his face, Yu Dong, do you know what a stunt in the Valley of the Wicked is? Sucking stars Dafa, Yu Dong said without any hesitation. That's right, it is the Dafa that attracts the stars. I suspect that David will also absorb the Dafa of the stars. Otherwise, he is a great master, how can he have such a strong energy? And when David fell into the ring, everyone thinks that when he was about to die, he appeared unscathed, and the momentum on his body was getting stronger and stronger. It was obvious that he deliberately fell under the ring, so that he could use the star suction method to inhale Qin Xiaolan's energy into his body. And Qin Xiaolan was ready to blow himself up, but in the end he died as thin as a stick. Don't you think it's strange? Su Chongsheng explained. When Yu Dong heard this, he was stunned. Elder, isn't this David from the Valley of the Wicked? I can't figure it out either, but it must have something to do with the Valley of the Wicked, so I have to have a good relationship with him. Su Chongsheng said lightly. No wonder, a great master, who dared to call the Banqin family at a young age, didn't even take our medicine god Valley seriously. It turns out that this guy has something to do with the Valley of the Wicked. You must know the old monsters in the Valley of the Wicked. It's over 100 years old. Yu Dong's eyes were full of envy. Although we all know that several old guys in the Valley of the Wicked are moody and murderous in the past, but everyone has their own skills. Many people want to enter the Valley of the Wicked to become a teacher, but no one succeeds. Yu Dong also had the idea of going into the Valley of the Wicked, but the Valley of the Wicked was rumored to be a demon. As a well-known and decent person, how could Yu Dong have such an idea? So he could only bury this idea deep in his heart, but the desire for strength, everyone is very strong. If this David really has something to do with the Valley of the Wicked, I hope I can learn a little alchemy from him. Although everyone says that the Valley of the Wicked is a crooked way, I have to admit that the alchemy and casting techniques in the Valley of the Wicked are all first class. Su Chongsheng loved alchemy all his life, but it was a pity that his alchemy skills stopped many years ago. It took Su Chongsheng 7 to 79 days to refine an earth-level elixir. Who used to be an alchemist, refining the earth-level pills, just need to raise his hand to become, this is the gap. This is why Su Chongsheng is so respectful to David, even at the expense of his own identity, he hopes to get some alchemy in the Valley of Evil from David. Chapter 693. Horindal, in the Pinerist Villa, Sonia looked at the Ziswai-dan that David gave her, and said with a sad face, "What is this? It smells bad, it looks disgusting." David wanted Sonia to eat the pill, but looking at Sonia's appearance, he was a little disgusted. "Linger, take it first, this is a panacea, I guarantee that after you eat it, you will be reborn and your strength will improve a lot." David persuaded Gu Linger. However, Gu Linger was having a hard time taking the pill. After all, the pill didn't taste very good. Seeing that neither of them wanted to eat it, David was speechless for a while, so he could only reluctantly persuade again, "This medicinal pill is called Ziswai-dan, but no one else wants to eat it, so I spent a lot of effort to give it to you. You got it, haven't you always wanted to cultivate? You must first reshape your body. Sonia looked at David like that, and finally turned her heart away. David, I can tell you, if this washing pill is not as good as you said, I can never finish with you. When refining the pill, I don't know how to put some sugar in it, it smells too bad. After speaking, Sonia pinched her nose, opened her small mouth, and swallowed the Ziswidan. The efficacy of Ziswidan is not something that ordinary people can hold, and after eating it for a while, Sonia suddenly frowned and her stomach growled. Are you sure it's a pill for washing the marrow? It's not a leak. Sonia's face turned pale, and a burst of abdominal pain came up while clutching her stomach, and she couldn't help it at all. Sonia, what's wrong with you? Gulinger originally saw that Sonia had eaten, and she wanted to eat it, but when she saw Sonia eating the pill, she immediately stepped forward and asked. Sonia, are you all right? David was also a little flustered. David had never eaten Ziswidan, so how could he know what would happen? Seeing that Sonia's face was in pain, he quickly took her hand to take a look, but before he could catch it, Sonia quickly rushed to the toilet. Puff puff puff. David was dumbfounded when the incomparably smooth exhaust sound came. Was Sonia eating a bad stomach? Or is there a problem with this wash pill? David looked puzzled, and knocked on the door of the toilet. Sonia? Are you all right? No, you wait outside, don't come in. Sonia was in a hurry at the moment, and quickly locked the door of the toilet. It's really shameful, the toilet is so smelly. She was about to vomit, so she had to turn the water on to the max, and turned on the exhaust fan to try to disperse the stench inside. David, where did you get the Ziswidan? You must have been deceived, right? If it eats up Sonia's body, you will regret it. Gulinger glared at David and threw the Ziswidan in his hand directly to David. When David took over the Ziswidan, he was also confused. It is said that Longwu could not lie to him, and he saw the Ziswidan developed by Longwu with his own eyes. How could there be a problem? Sonia, are you all right? Do you want me to call 120 and take you to the hospital? Even though David would be skilled in medicine, and he was very skilled in medicine, Gulinger didn't dare to let David show Sonia, that's why he thought of calling 120 to go to the hospital. No, I just have a stomachache. Sonia said hurriedly. David and Gulinger had no choice but to wait outside. After waiting for half an hour, Sonia came out of the toilet blushing. Mengwei, are you okay? Seeing Sonia come out of the toilet, David hurriedly greeted her. But before the words were finished, David froze there. Because he saw that Su Mengwei's skin was congealed at this time, and his cheeks were pale pink. Even without makeup, he felt like a fairy in the sky descending to earth, and it was extremely beautiful. Gulinger also widened her eyes and looked at Sonia with an incredible face, making Sonia look stupid. Chapter 694. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Su Menmei touched her face and felt a little flustered. She hurriedly took 2 sips of the smell from the toilet. It was gone. She just finished using the toilet soon. The reason why she had to wait for half an hour was because she was worried that the smell was too strong. Let David smell it and destroy the image in her heart. Looking at David and Gulinger's dazed appearance now, Sonia was stunned. No, no, look at you. David held her shoulders and pushed her to the mirror. Sonia, you've just changed into a person. Your skin is now more delicate and smooth than a baby. Gulinger said enviously from the side. Sonia was dumbfounded when she saw the person in the mirror. Is this her? OMG! This is too pretty. The person is still the same person, but the whole body is incredibly transparent, the skin can be broken by blowing bullets, and even the body is much more charming. As long as a man sees it, he can't help but take a few more glances. David, what the H3LL is going on? You have the beauty effect of this pill, right? Su Mengui was so excited that she trembled all over. Her skin is probably just like this for a newborn baby. David breathed a sigh of relief, took Su Mengui's hand, took her pulse gently, and checked the condition of her body. Sure enough, she saw that the meridians in Su Mengui's body were softer, and more importantly, there was no impurities in her body, and her entire body looked like she was just born. Baby. In an instant, David thought of Zisui Dan, which is to remove impurities from the human body and restore people to the state of birth. Only in this state can you know whether you can step into the world of immortal cultivation and practice immortal cultivation techniques. Thinking of this, David clenched his fists with excitement. If Sonia can successfully step into the world of immortality, then they can be immortal companions forever. This washing marrow pill is really a good thing. David's heart was very excited. Sonia also felt David's emotional excitement. She understood that this was definitely the effect of the cleansing pill. Sonia didn't blame David for letting her have diarrhea, and hugged David directly in front of Gulinger. But as soon as the two hugged each other, Gulinger hurriedly separated the two. Linger, what are you doing? Are you jealous? Sonia said with a smile when she saw Gulinger separating her from David. Eat the vinegar of your big head. Gulinger gave Sonia a white look, then looked at David, and reached out to grab David's clothes. David was startled, and was so frightened that he stepped back again and again. Linger, what are you doing? I am a gentleman, not to mention Sonia is still here, how can you do this? Gulinger grabbed David's collar directly. What are you thinking in your head? I just want to get the Zisui Dan back. After Gulinger finished speaking, he took out the Zisui Dan directly from David's pocket, and swallowed it without hesitation. Soon, Gulinger also frowned and hurried to the toilet. This leaves David and Sonia standing outside the toilet. When David was about to hug Sonia, Sonia pushed him away. Sonia looked at David with a cold face. I ask you, what did you mean just now? Could it be that if I wasn't here, you could follow Linger? What's it like? What did you say? I don't understand at all, don't take my words. David dodged his eyes and didn't dare to look at Sonia, so he walked directly to the living room and sat on the sofa. Humph, men don't care. Looking at David, Sonia pouted, but was not really angry. In fact, even if David really did something to Gulinger, Sonia felt that she could accept it, as long as David had herself in her heart. Chapter 695. What's more, Sonia also hopes to take care of David with Gulinger. After all, the two are familiar with each other and can be a companion when David is away. Gulinger stayed in the toilet for a full hour before coming out. Seeing Gulinger coming out, Sonia opened her mouth in surprise. Linger, you have changed a lot, take a picture of yourself. When Gulinger heard this, she hurriedly ran to the mirror, looking at her fair and tender skin. Gulinger was so excited. David also looked at Gulinger unconsciously. He had eaten Gulinger, which had a unique taste. Gulinger and Sonia stood together, they were completely different temperaments. Sonia is the kind of ladylike girl, while Gulinger is the kind of firm and soft. After all, she has stayed in the Dharma Protector Pavilion before. Looking at Gulinger and Sonia in front of him, David couldn't help but think about it. If both of them follow him, and when they go to bed at night, hugging from left to right, wouldn't this be a man's dream? Unconsciously, David smirked, and even Gulinger and Sonia didn't notice when they walked in front of them. Seeing David's smirk, Sonia and Gulinger looked at each other, and then shouted at the same time. This shocked David, and found that Sonia and Gulinger were looking at him with strange eyes. David hurriedly turned around and sat back on the sofa. David, why did you just look at the two of us giggling? Gulinger asked David. No, nothing to laugh at, David said embarrassedly. I guess he must be thinking that if the two of us can accompany him at night, he will be beautiful, so he will smirk. Sonia's words directly broke David's heart. Don't talk nonsense, I don't think so. David hurriedly got up and walked outside the villa. You two have dinner at night, I'll go do something. David didn't dare to stay at home anymore, maybe he was really caught by these two girls. After leaving the Pinehurst villa, David was fine, so he asked Lin Tianhu to have a drink together. After all, in Horrendal, although there are many people that David can date, there are not many people who can drink together. Soon, David and Lin Tianhu met at the bar. This bar is also the property of Jiatang. When Lin Tianhu and David entered the bar, all the bar staff said hello. Mr. Chen, you just fought with that Qin Xiaolin, why didn't you rest earlier and have time to come out for a drink? Lin Tianhu personally took a bottle of red wine and poured a glass for David. The two women in the family are really difficult to deal with, come out and clean. David smiled helplessly and drank the red wine. Mr. Chen's days are the envy of many men. Lin Tianhu also picked up the red wine and drank it. How are you and Chifeng? David asked Lin Tianhu. That's it. After all, at our age, we just want to find a partner, but it is the luck of the two of us to be under Mr. Chen's hands. Lin Tianhu has always been very grateful to David. After all, he is now able to reach the Grand Master, thanks to David's credit, otherwise he is afraid that he will never be able to practice the Grand Master in his life. Since you know your age is not too young, then hurry up to have a child, at least keep one for yourself. After all, for a warrior, it is not too big to have a child at the age of 40. David knew that when one cultivated above a great master, the average age would be more than 10 years higher than that of ordinary people. It is normal for many great masters to live to be 100 years old. After all, the physical quality of warriors is stronger than that of ordinary people. I never thought about having children, it's too troublesome. Lin Tianhu laughed. He had been the underground emperor of Horrendal for half his life. Lin Tianhu never thought of having a child. When David saw this, he just smiled. After all, whether or not to have children is someone's freedom. David can't force it. Chapter 696. David was drinking with Lin Tianhu, and the music in the bar was playing. Looking at the maddening crowd, David felt a little relaxed. David has rarely had such a relaxing moment since he was released from prison. Mr. Chen, your female predestined relationship is so good. Suddenly, Lin Tianhu gave a wicked smile. David was taken aback. What do you mean? Lin Tianhu didn't speak, but winked. David hurriedly followed the place where Lin Tianhu winked, and found a girl, wearing a black tights, who was staring at David. The girl had a bit of coldness on her face, which seemed out of tune with the writhing crowd around her. Didn't she go? After seeing the girl, David was full of doubts. Lin Tianhu smiled, Mr. Chen, I'll go first, but don't go back too late, after all, there are two women at home. Lin Tianhu got up and left, while David walked up to the girl with a glass of red wine and sat down directly. Why didn't you leave? Did you stay with me on purpose? David asked inexplicably. David's words made the girl stunned for a moment, and then she laughed. 2 rows of white teeth were exposed, and this smile was almost overwhelming, which made David's heart rippling. Is this how you make girls? The girl asked. Who to soak? David was stunned for a moment, and then the corner of his mouth raised. Hurry up, I want to live 2 more years, but I don't dare to soak you. After David finished speaking, he stood up and said, don't use charms on me, I won't eat that trick. David walked straight out of the bar, and the girl was shocked and hurriedly followed. David walked in front, and the girl followed behind. What are you doing with me? Don't want to live at my house, my girlfriend is at home. David said unceremoniously. You're a big man, are you embarrassed to see me a girl on the street? Or we two go to open a room? The girl looked resentful and acted coquettishly at David, and there was a faint aroma on David's nose. Smelling the fragrance of the girl, looking at the girl's shy appearance, David's eyes flashed, and the whole person seemed to be possessed. Seeing David like that, the corner of the girl's mouth twitched, her eyes full of pride and disdain. But just when David walked in front of the girl, and when the girl wanted to take David away, who knew that David's eyes instantly recovered, and then he slapped the girl on the head. Wu Meyer, I said it's over, your charms are useless to me. If Uncle Long knew you were still using charms on me, he would definitely scold you. After David hit the girl on the head, he turned around proudly and was about to leave. Wu Meyer, who is Wu Meyer? The girl suddenly looked bewildered. David was stunned for a moment, then turned to look at the girl. You are Wu Meyer, what are you pretending to be with me? Don't say you lost your memory, I don't believe your nonsense. David rolled his eyes at the girl, feeling that these girls are really good at pretending, and they are about to become actors. But when David sighed, the girl's figure flashed, and a cold light came out and flew towards David. At the same time, the girl's figure moved rapidly, and with a posture that could not cover her ears, she stabbed the dagger in her hand straight into David's face. The girl showed no mercy. Go to H3LL. The girl's eyes were icy cold, and it was almost foreseeable that David's blood would be splattered on the spot. David's jaw dropped when he saw this scene. Are you fucking crazy? The voice fell, the spiritual power in the body was output frantically, and a momentum suddenly erupted. I saw a slight movement of his right hand, and a silver needle flew out violently, colliding with the dagger on the opposite side in the dark night, creating a spark. Chapter 697. At this time, the girl had already rushed in front of David, and she was very surprised to face David's quick counterattack. However, the dagger in his hand did not stop, and he desperately sent it to David's neck. You're actually immune to my charms, are you a man? The girl's face turned pale with anger, and her gaze at David became more and more gloomy. Isn't it weird? Don't you know it all? David's face was stunned, he held the dagger in his hand, and with a slight shock, the dagger broke into two pieces and fell to the ground. In the next second, the cold aura in the girl's body erupted instantly, followed by a surge of black energy. In almost an instant, the black air surrounded David. Looking at the rising black gas, David suddenly woke up when he thought of what he looked like when he just started. You're not Wu Meyer. David's eyes were full of surprise, because the girl in front of her looked almost exactly the same as Wu Meyer, and she even knew charm. If it weren't for the girl's use of force against David and the poisonous gas emitted, David would really take her as Wu Meyer, too similar, too similar. But now that David thought about it, although this girl looked exactly like Wu Meyer, her body had a more gloomy aura than Wu Meyer. Who said that I am Wu Meyer? It was you who admitted it wrong from the beginning. After the girl finished speaking, she punched David. In her opinion, David has been enveloped in poisonous gas, and will soon become poisonous, causing him to become unconscious, so David could not escape this punch at all. But contrary to the girl's expectations, David easily escaped her attack, and he even sucked the poisonous gas out of his mouth. Who are you? Why do you look so much like a friend of mine? David did not fight back against the girl, but asked with a puzzled look. Although I don't know what the girl's relationship with Wu Meyer is, David can be sure that the girl and Wu Meyer are definitely related by blood, and it is very likely that the two are twins. David knew that Wu Meyer was picked up by Long Wu, so it is possible that the family gave birth to a pair of twin daughters. Because of the pressure, he chose to throw one away. Because the cost of raising children is getting higher and higher, it often happens that one is lost because one cannot afford to raise a child. I'm here to catch you. After the girl finished speaking, she shot at David again, but she was dodged by David every time. After dozens of moves in a row, the girl began to pant. David looked at the girl so tired and said lightly, "Okay, it's almost done, you are not my opponent, you can't catch me, I just want to know who you are really a friend of mine." Like, almost identical. The girl looked at David who was standing in front of her and said very dissatisfiedly, "Do you look down on me? If it wasn't for the sake of seeing you look exactly the same as a friend of mine, you'd be a corpse by now. Don't think I'll pity Xiangziyu, your charms are useless to me, you'd better answer my question and tell me who am I and why are you arresting me? David looked at the girl coldly, his aura rising. Just now, David had clearly felt the girl's true strength, but he was a martial artist who had just stepped into the Great Master, how could he possibly catch him? Arrogant. The girl's face was gloomy, and she didn't take David's words to heart at all. She suddenly jumped up, her body looked weird in the night sky, and countless cold beams flew towards David condescendingly. 7 stars kill. The girl shouted angrily, and countless flying knives fell from the air, directly covering David's body, making David unavoidable. Chapter 698. Seeing this scene, David raised his brows, finally shook his head, and sneered, "This trick doesn't work. If the girl's opponent is one level worse than her, this move is definitely useful, but she is facing David, who has just killed Wu Zong's existence, so this move is almost useless for David. No." David closed his eyes and stood motionless, as if he had no ability to fight back, and then a few daggers went straight to David. Bingo! The girl shouted excitedly, because she saw with her own eyes that the dagger had touched David's body. But just after the girl shouted happily, the next moment her whole face turned black. Because she saw that after the dagger touched David's body, there was a sound of metal collision, and then all the daggers burst and fell to the ground. Looking at David's body, she was unharmed. Are you still human?" The girl stared at David with wide eyes. "Stop, you are not my opponent, tell me, who are you? Who are your parents?" If David can know the parents of the other party, it is possible to find family members for Wu Meyer. "You're dead, I won't say it." The girl's face was gloomy, and her eyes were full of coldness. The energy in the body was output frantically, and the cold aura poisoned the surrounding plants and trees within 10 feet to death. The thin body actually contained such a powerful poisonous gas. In the blink of an eye, the dagger in the girl's hand broke through the air again, and the sense of tearing apart the space was filled with an indomitable killing spirit. There is also a faint green light on the dagger, and it looks like it has been fed with poison. As long as it hits, it will be killed in one hit. Seeing that the girl knew that she was incapable of catching David, she was planning to kill David. Looking at this scene, David sighed slightly, but without hiding, he directly raised his hand and waved, and the girl's body flew out instantly. Bang! The girl's body slammed heavily on the wall, directly knocking the girl into a daze. This is still David's hand, otherwise the girl would have vomited blood and died. The girl slowed down, but her eyes were still cold. David really didn't know where he had offended the girl. Why did he have to fight with himself? Go to H3LL. With a coquettish shout, the girl rushed towards David again. Seeing this, David sighed slightly, almost got it. Then, with a wave of spiritual power, an invisible sword was formed in his hand, and David rushed to the girl at a faster speed. The two figures staggered, moved for a moment, and then separated under the touch. The two people standing back to back stood up straight, neither of them moved. After a few breaths, the girl knew that she was completely defeated and had no chance at all. BA5 Tard. You actually. The girl screamed, then grabbed her clothes tightly with both hands, and looked at David angrily. Because at this moment, there were several gaps in the girl's clothes, the snow-white skin was exposed, and the buttons of the clothes were missing. If you didn't hold the clothes with your hands, David would have seen them all. You can kill me, but you don't have to try to take advantage of me. I'd rather bite my tongue and kill myself than let you succeed. The girl's face was resolute. If David really wanted to do something to her, she would definitely commit suicide. Then you bite your tongue and commit suicide. Anyway, what I want is your body. Even if you bite your tongue and commit suicide, I can still find happiness in you. David turned around and looked at the girl with a lustful look, like a big horny. You are shameless, you are not human." The girl did not expect David to say such disgusting words. When she thought of how David had spoiled her body after biting her tongue and committing suicide, the girl had goosebumps all over her body. Chapter 699. Since you say I'm not human, then I'm not human for you to see. With a wicked smile on his face, David rushed towards the girl. "What?" The girl screamed, grabbed her clothes and ran away. I don't know, I thought David was bullying the girl, but who knew that this girl was going to kill David in the first place? Seeing the girl's panicked appearance, David laughed, and walked to the girl's side. Seeing David catching up, the girl instinctively raised her hand and hit. But who knew that when he raised his hand, half of his clothes fell off, and his fair shoulders were all exposed, even his underwear was exposed. "I didn't expect you to be such a cold-hearted woman, but your heart is very hot, and you actually wear bright red underwear," David said with a playful expression. The girl was startled and saw that she had disappeared. She hurriedly retracted her hands and rewrapped her clothes. "You rascal, I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost." The girl glared at David, suddenly opened her mouth, and planned to kill herself by biting her tongue. David was shocked when he saw that the girl was really going to commit suicide, and she was playing for real. "It's pretty tough." David supported the girl who had fainted and frowned involuntarily. Before he knew the girl's true identity and purpose, it was impossible for him to let the girl die, and he didn't feel that he had offended the girl, so why should he arrest himself? The helpless David could only pick up the girl and head towards the Pinehurst villa. Along the way, David thought about how to explain to Sonia and Gullinger. After all, these two women are very sensitive, especially when they are together. When they returned to the villa, they found that Sonia and Gullinger were not sleeping, and they were still watching Dog Blood TV series, which were all about love and love. David didn't like watching them. When the two saw that David came back with a woman, they both jumped up from the sofa. "David, who is this woman?" Sonia asked first. "Yes. I picked it up on the side of the road. I saw she was drunk." Poor David lied because he really didn't know how to explain it. But just after David finished speaking, Gullinger screamed, "David, you f.art, you lie, isn't this the girl who was looking for you that day? He also gave you a bronze mirror for protecting your heart, what is it called?" "Coming." After Gullinger saw the girl's face, she immediately dismantled David. "My name is Wu Meier," Sonia said immediately. Yes, it's called Wu Meier." Gullinger also nodded. David was stunned for a moment. He forgot that Sonia and Gullinger had met Wu Meier, but the girl in his arms was not Wu Meier, but she was very similar to Wu Meier. Forgot. "David, you are really good at it, and you still picked up a drunk girl on the roadside? Are you taking me for a fool?" Sonia looked at David angrily. No, listen to my explanation, this girl is not Wu Meier, she just looks a lot like Wu Meier." David hurriedly explained to Sonia. But Sonia didn't believe it at all. In fact, let alone Sonia, even if David encountered such a thing himself, he didn't believe it himself. At first, he didn't recognize this girl as Wu Meier. "David, just enjoy yourself at home with this woman, I'll go." Sonia rushed out the door angrily. Gullinger also glared at David, and then chased out. "Sonia, Linger." Holding the girl in his arms, David looked at the disappearing backs of Sonia and Gullinger, and felt helpless. It seemed that he had to explain to Sonia after he understood it. Chapter 700. Looking at the unconscious girl, David put her in his room, then locked the door to prevent the girl from waking up and running away. Then David contacted Longwu and told Longwu about the matter. Longwu was also quite surprised when he heard it. He told David to be optimistic about the girl and never let the girl escape. Then he took Wu Meier and rushed from Kyoto to Horindal overnight. It wasn't until it was dawn that Long Wu and Wu Mei arrived in Horindal and saw David sleeping on the sofa in the living room. David felt that someone was coming, so he opened his eyes immediately, and when he saw that it was Long Wu and Wu Mei, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Uncle Long, that girl is in the bedroom. I was afraid she would escape, so I locked her inside." David walked towards the bedroom with Long Wu and Wu Mei. David looked at Wu Mei as he walked. He had never seen such a person. If it wasn't for the girl's gloomy aura, and Wu Mei is even more similar. "David, what do you keep watching me? Is the woman you're talking about really similar to me?" Seeing that David was always peeking at her, Wu Mei asked. "It's not like, it's just the same," David said with certainty. David's words also made Wu Mei very curious, and now she is eager to meet this girl who looks very much like her. "David, do you think this girl can also do magic?" Long Wu asked. "Yes, at the bar last night, she just used charm on me, but it didn't work. I thought she was Wu Mei." David nodded, and then continued, "Uncle Long, you pick it up. When I arrived at Wu Mei, did you know who her family was? Are there any siblings?" Long Wu shook his head. "Mei didn't pick it up by me, someone else picked it up and handed it to me, so I don't know if she has any siblings." When David heard it, he didn't expect such a small episode. It turns out that Wu Mei was not picked up by Long Wu. Soon, David opened the door of the room, but as soon as the door was opened, a dagger stabbed directly at David. David stretched out his hand and grabbed the dagger directly. With a little force, the dagger instantly shattered. Seeing that a single blow could not succeed, the girl wanted to rush out the door, but just as she was about to run, she saw Wu Mei walking in, and the girl was immediately stunned. When Wu Mei saw the girl, her eyes widened in shock. Because the two people are so similar, standing opposite each other, just like looking in the mirror, if it is not for the clothes on their bodies, they are simply the same person. Long Wu was also shocked when he saw this scene. "I said, you are very similar to a friend of mine, do you believe it now?" David asked the shocked girl. The girl didn't speak, she just stared at Wu Mei closely, and Wu Mei also stared straight at the girl. Although the two didn't know each other, they slowly approached each other. When the distance between the two people was only about 1 meter, the two people actually emitted faint rays of light at the same time, and then the two rays of light intertwined and merged with each other. Wu Mei and the girl felt the connection of blood vessels at the same time. The throbbing of the blood vessels made the two girls burst into tears instantly. "Elder sister." Wu Mei looked at the girl with tears in her eyes, and even called out to her sister unconsciously. "Younger sister." The girl also burst into tears and called out to her sister. Although they didn't know each other and didn't know who was older and who was younger, they couldn't help calling out their sisters and sisters. Then, the two hugged tightly. This scene stunned both David and Long Wu. Especially Long Wu, he adopted Wu Mei since he was a child. Wu Mei has never seen her family. How could she know that the girl in front of her is her sister? Just because they look alike? Even if they are twins, how do they tell each other's size? Can't Wu Mei be her sister? A series of questions made Long Wu also bewildered.